I get mad zooted, I got this bad thing I recruited.
Hope everyone's doing well and welcome back to another video. So this has been a crazy week, crazy month, and a great start to the year, especially for the mentorship members. What you guys probably would have seen, or I hope you've seen, and if you haven't, make sure you go see now, is the things that I've been sending into the main Telegram chat, right? The public chat. And I've been showing you guys in my mentorship chat how we sort of approach the markets and, you know, the sort of things we do, the trade management, etc. And this month and this year, of course, so far I've sent in, or rather we've had 6 instances where we've had what I would call valid trading opportunities in our eyes, and we've gone 6 for 6 so far. And everyone in the group chat has smashed it. Seen guys put up crazy percentage. And myself, I'm very happy with how today's turned out. And we've actually got 2 winning trades from today. And I'm going to break down both of them for you guys. And as a side note, before I even get into it, is another thing. I did put this in the group chat, but, you know, big up to Omar, MBB Trader. You guys know him because he's been putting out the Interbank episodes for ages now, right? Which is very similar to what I've started doing. And I just realized it's a good way to sort of showcase what actually matters, right? Because when I come in the group chat, I'm not just, you know, sort of just throwing out every single thought that I have in my brain in there. That's it, right? It's more so, you know, just running through price and looking at the important bits. Okay, cool. We have this, we have that. This is what we're waiting for. If this happens, then we're going to, you get me? That sort of thing. We say those statements beforehand, and then when it actually comes to it, we execute on them, right? And then when we do execute on them, the sort of next main thing for everybody is understanding, okay, cool, we're in the setup now. This is how we manage to trade, right? This is where we're going to trim a stop loss. This is where we're going to blah, 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 whatever it is, right? It's just a real insight into live trading. As I said in the last video as well, guys, if anybody wants to join, you can drop me a message, right? If you have any questions about how it works, where it is, the biggest question I always get, how much is it? It's £70 a month. Just drop me a message, right? And of course, I will get back to you as soon as I can. Well, cool. Like I said, we've got 2 good trade breakdowns to do for today. So we shall start with those. So cool. Let's sort of, you know, ignore today's daily candle for a second, right? When I see a daily candle like this coming from, you know, high time frame PD array, hitting the 4-hour volume imbalance that we wanted to see hit for a little while, and then displacing higher, right, and being very close to this buy side liquidity but not taking it, it automatically, you know, would sort of raise my eyebrows and make me think, okay, cool, this is possibly a target for us, right? Even though price is not great here, right? When I come on a 4-hour, you guys see this is quite choppy, right? It's not amazing price action, but we had an accumulation, a very sharp manipulation, and I would argue that this is the sort of distribution phase now, right? Price has started moving up, and of course we've had this target which is taken out, and we've got another further target which almost got hit today. We'll speak about it in a second. But, you know, essentially what I'm saying is, when we spoke about this sort of after GDP, there was no firm bias, right? The bias wasn't concrete, but as this daily candle closed, I would say it starts suggesting that price is moving this way rather than moving down here, right? Just logically. You've had the accumulation, you've now manipulated below, you've moved up very hard. The next logical target will be the buy side targets, and what's in close proximity is actually the previous daily high and a daily high even past that, right? So cool. So ignore this up, and I will get into what all of this means, why it's there. So first of all, we will start off with very simple, right? So this high, we can say, is representing previous daily high. We'll add the text. This is our previous daily high. Move this over. Perfect, right? So now as a trader, I log into, or rather come onto the charts, we see a very clean accumulation for Asia. London Open starts by displacing down, right? And even on a 1 hour time frame, you guys can see accumulation move down, creating bullish order blocks, right? and then we come on our lower time frame where we find our entries, we see, you know, a sort of rundown and then very nice displacement. And what's even better is you get this displacement, you create the balanced price range, you create this fair value gap, then price retraces into this, hits this, respects it, and then goes back up, right? So the initial entry, and again, like I said to you guys, if you haven't, you know, been in the Telegram chat, the main chat, you should probably get in there. I'm going to reference some of the messages I said in. So cool. So around about 8 a.m, right? So that's about this candle here. I've said to the group chat, DXY previous daily high. So this area is actually a pretty good target. We have this AMD taking place. We've got some good displacement and it's at the right time of the session. So taking the entry from this 5-minute IO fed, right? Hitting it basically anywhere in here is probably pretty good, right? And the long that is offered on the DXY also is a short, right, on our Euro USD, which we'll comment in a second. The target's previous daily high is about there, right? Very simple. That's assuming you even took the entry as prices leaving the fair value gap. So from the top of the fair value gap, that's 2.74. If anyone managed to get sort of pinpoint, you know, there's a good opportunity for getting some nice risk to reward there. So cool. We'll just go with about there. You guys can see it builds the second leg, absolutely smashes through that high and then continues to trade high. It would have been a very early trim on the stop loss, right? To there, that's about half your risk off the table, I'd say. About half, yeah. And then from there, of course, this is one of those days you just get a very clean run, right? It's just very clean. Market maker buyer model, AMD, price runs all the way to that previous daily high, the target before the previous daily high, where some people might have closed, or rather like a better way to play as a shorter term target. If somebody wasn't confident in holding, could have been here, which was still a very solid 2.2R. And previous daily high was just behind that, about 2.7 on the DXY. I'll get to what the RR on Euro USD is in a second. And the way we done that, like I said to you guys, hit the position, covered this low, right? 3 a.m. low, send the messages. I said to somebody, right, even if you miss this IOFED entry, within this candle, I'm going to get rid of this, within this candle, just hit it. It's the same as hitting a buy stop. It's very clear this is a reversal point. It's very clear this is the AMD. The manipulation has kicked in. You're seeing this energy in price. It's in your kill zone. And now price has displaced the other way, respected an array. It's starting to build the second leg. Anywhere in this zone would have been a sweet spot for entry. And you had an extremely nice target to work towards, which was previous daily high and this consolidation high. And price absolutely smashed it from entry, which is about here, to here is about hour flat, right, to hit the TP. So weren't even trade all that long. So cool. I was just reading through the messages quickly just to make sure I haven't missed anything. And yeah, so another major thing I said to everybody, and this is important to note, right? Given the context, we said, look, cool. We know the charts are not in a great place. On the 4 hour, the daily, it's not extremely clear, but we know for now, we have a short-term target. It's very likely, even if price is going to consolidate, it's going to move sideways, it's probably taking this out first. So I said to everybody, look, I know we have targets past this, right? We had a target over here. We had, I believe, one target slightly higher. Just cut the trade at previous daily high. And that's what everybody in the group chat did, thankfully. And from there, right, price absolutely just smashed it. Done. Right, so that's our London open trade. Quickly go over it. Euro USD as well. And one more thing I'm going to add. So again, focus on the London session. We'll come to, there's a entry we're going to talk about the New York session as well, but let's focus on the London session. You've got that same sort of format. You've got accumulation, manipulation above, get this very nice displacement, 5-minute IO fed anywhere around here would have been the area to hit the trade, cover the high, right? Then you could have targeted this low, which would have been 2.7R, right? Or we could have targeted this, which I believe a lot of people in the group chat targeted, which was a flat 2R, which is fine. I managed to hold my trade up until this low, which was smashed out at 2.7. Price ran a little bit past that, right? But this essentially would have been, either of these targets would have just been amazing, right? You would have entered the trade within the hour, both targets are hit, right? Taken out very easy. There was a second entry for people who sort of, missed this initial move, and it became very clear, okay, look, this is a market maker sell model. I've missed that initial IO fed. Where can I re-enter? You guys can see this is, you have to be very careful. Sometimes it's hard to miss these, but you see this little IO fed occur. When you see price do this and start moving away, you could have potentially entered here as price takes the low, right? This is around 350. I would have entered as so, right? Covering your stop loss to make sure you're covering perhaps a 15-minute candle high, something along those lines, targeting this low, or rather, sorry, closer. And you would have just had a very simple 1-off, right? Now, with this, it's a bit nuanced because, of course, the entry is a bit more difficult now because the majority of the move is done, right? And you're essentially trying to get way in. So understanding that you're sort of just trying to squeeze something out of the trade, you have to just accept it's going to be less off, because you wouldn't want to enter a position here, right, with a lot of or a high lot size. The price retraces here and you get absolutely smashed out. Your trade is 2-3% underwater, and then it goes your way after taking you up, right? So you just have to accept, here we had the same IO fed on the DXY, occurs very nice, and then flies straight to the target. So it would have been a very similar schematic. You probably would have been covering something like this, targeting up to the highs, right? Cool. I think that's it for the first trade, really and truly. There's nothing else major to cover. It's a very, very simple schematic. If you guys have watched my content, watched my videos, you should know, A and D, just textbook, right? And does it surprise you that that is the exact same schematic for our New York trade, A, M, D, right? Accumulation going into New York, manipulation, start the session, then distribution this way. Now, this time, right, I want you guys to take it from a new angle. Just for 1 second, forget about everything that we just said about the London session, fresh mind. Let's just view it as a New York trader, right? So I'm a New York trader coming into the session, right? We've got this at the London sort of candle. The next candle is opening here, right? We sort of have to ignore this closure for the time being. The closure is not helping me sort of teach what I want to teach here, but essentially, you see when this candle is printed, let's imagine after this candle you don't see any following candles, you have a buy side target. I would bet that this following candle trades in this direction, right? I make that bet, and I also understand that on the lower time frame I have a sort of shorter term target I can work towards, right? I don't necessarily always have to go for the big target. So the way we done this one, again, reference in the chat, we say, look, going into New York session, try not to make this a little messy, we have a 1 hour fair value gap, which is marked for you guys, which is also, this is a 4 hour order block. I'll show you it's 4 hour bullish order block, which is this candle. We want to see price trade into this, look at this candle, 8 a.m. and trade away. We had news coming up, right? So what did I say to everybody in the group chat is, look guys, we have the framework. This is a London to New York OTE. I will put the OTE on it. Very textbook setup here. Right, comes to the discount just about, hits the 1 hour fair value gap, hits, what's it called, the 4 hour order block, and displays it away. Right, news drops, and what I said to everybody was, guys, look, I want to see price push above this specific high. Right, if price can push above this high, then I'll be more willing to trade. And then what's occurred is that price has moved higher. With this move down, the next candles come and we see, there's potential for a 5-minute IO fed. Price gets very close, but I said to everybody, look guys, you're probably best off just market executing here. There's no point waiting for a few pips. If we look at all the supporting framework, it is very, very likely, right, if you're hitting the trade from about here, and we're going to target that sort of interim high, which is London open session high, and you're covering this low, you're just making a very, very quick 1.5 R. I know the RR is not crazy by any means, right? but you have to understand, you have to sort of take the context we have. Again, it goes back to that idea of we don't have a very clear daily chart. We had the potential to let the trade run towards this, right? The trade ran to that target, then that's an amazing 3R. And I said in the group chat, look, guys, eventually once we got in the session or into the trade, if anybody wants to leave a run, I'll make sure you take your risk off the table, blah, blah, blah. And then happily you can hold it for the run. Because worst comes to worst, you get stopped out at 0, no damage done. But most people, thankfully, including myself in the group chat, managed to close the trade here. But what's happened is we've entered here. Price now very rapidly started moving up. The second that this high, you guys can see this little wiki high was what's it called, broken. I said to everybody, make sure right now we can go, on that, we can go about halfway to break even. As price starts pushing high, I said everybody might as well go break even here. It's not coming back to us, because now this is the important context, right? I want you guys to watch the candle times as we sort of hover over them. So this is the 8 AM candle, right? Move down, displacement up, and we've entered the trade about here, right? So this is about 850. It's very likely the low of that 1 hour candle is in. You don't expect this, price to trade all the way back down to here, to the original stop loss. And what happens is the 9 AM candle now opens, moves up, carries on moving up. At that point, we don't expect it to retrace anyways. We've caught the low of the candle. Happy days. Everybody's got that little, 1.5, or we'll see how much it reflects into on the Euro USD, but that's all it was, guys. Very simple framework on both. It's very obvious. You see how you sort of have to bring these confluences together. The idea of AMD, seeing the PD array matrix, seeing the 1 hour fair value gap, the 4 hour order block, all of these things being brought together. And then more importantly, I will say the context, because, on a different day, perhaps even myself taking this long position, I might have said, you know what, guys, this is an obvious long. I know we still have some ADR left. Why run this? Let's let it run the 3R. And let's go smash this target. It's going to be 3R. Right, roughly. But no, because it is a Friday. It's the end of the week. I'm not expecting much. It's the end of the monthly candle. Right? So once it's the end of the monthly candle, we're right in the middle of the candle. There's no clear bias. There's no amazingly clear bias on the week, on the daily chart, right? So now when we have a very, very obvious short-term target, what is our obvious short-term target going into New York kill zone? The obvious short-term target is London open high. Why? Because you have the accumulation, you have the manipulation with all your framework. So at a minimum, when the distribution occurs, you want to at least see it to this high, which is exactly what has happened. And of course, a lot of people have managed to get into that setup and smashed it, right? So cool. Let's quickly go through the message. There's nothing I've missed. Another thing to definitely keep in mind is also sometimes, right, here, although we had the framework and we could have potentially even hit the entry from down here in the 1 hour fair value gap, what was important is me telling everyone, guys, look, we have read for the news events. We know the price action could be a bit funny. Let's let the news happen first and then we'll get in line with it. Sometimes what that means is the news drops, there's no way for you to get in line with it. It moves, your bias might have been right, but you don't get entry. It's unfortunate. It happens, right? It happens to the best of us. But you would not want to be entering early and be on the wrong side of the news drop, because even if your stop losses break even or whatnot, I'm sure all of you guys know how slippage works. It can end up horrible. So in scenarios like this, it's best to just let it pass, have that extra confirmation, right? What was that extra confirmation? Us seeing price break above this high and then entering and now understanding, look, this low was created by news. It was a manipulation for news. So we don't expect this to get broken if our bias is right. So we can use this as an anchor for the low, right? So low to high, you can OTE it, or you can use this as your stop loss, just mark it, enter, and then you have a very clear target, right? That's it, right? Just checking the chat one last time. But yeah, I think that is about it. We'll quickly cover it on Euro USD. Of course, the same setup. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Everyone just smashed it. It's just very simple trade, easy to manage, moved our way pretty quick. Aside from that initial entry, right? That's one thing I can touch on. This initial entry, right, is very choppy and consolidated. Sometimes that happens. That's where a lot of people might panic. They might get things wrong. They might, think, oh, let me just hop out. Let me try to get a better entry. If your bias and your framework is good, don't see it as, look, I need to snipe the entry. I need the best entry. I need the best exit. No, you just want to be part of the move. You want to be part of a definitive move. Because when you have confidence in a move, that's when it's worth putting the risk on the table. If you're not confident in a move, or if you're not confident, right? Let's imagine you said to yourself, look, if price comes to this, it's a sniper entry. If it comes to that sniper entry, you're not as confident with your framework, blah, 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 then is it really worth it? Because no, then you're just gambling. You're trying to just squeeze too much juice. Right? You don't need to do that. Just there, you guys can, that's a very simple, 1.5, 1.6, 7, or whatever it is, right? So what that truly reflects into on USD, about halfway through the session, after the news drop, so about there. Let me just check quickly my numbers right. Yeah, so about here. Covering the high, targeting the low, and yeah, that's just a very solid 1.4R. It's not crazy, but guys, look, if somebody was on the charts, they caught that first setup, right? That first setup, that initial one, you would have been laughing already, which I know a lot of guys in the group chat managed to get both today. It would have been in as so approximately. Right, let's just assume, right, we'll lowball it. You caught the first one at about 2R, the second one at 1.4R. You would have ended the day 3.4R up with 2 trades that absolutely flew to your targets both times. And then, let's assume somebody managed to catch it all the way. Then you would have been 2.7 plus 1.4. You would have done more than 4R for the day. Not too hard, right? Hopefully you guys can see, right? Now here, one last thing I'll touch on, right, before we end this video, is price absolutely smashed the other way. I thought price is running lower. That was my honest, genuine bias. I thought, price is going to run this way. That's it, right? Maybe the bias is about to become clear, but no, absolutely smashed the other way. This is why it's so important to manage risk, guys. Imagine I was in this trade. Price has come to my targets 1.4R and I've not even trimmed my stop loss. And I've not taken profit. Price reverses. Imagine going from 1.4R, 2R up, down 1%. That should not be happening to any trader. At a bare minimum, you need to be bringing that to break even. If anything, like I said, guys, this is why the context matters. We're being conservative. We're taking those take profits at the obvious targets. We're not saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. There's one low, slightly lower. No. Okay, cool. Keep that in your mind. Maybe price are going to hit that. But given the context, knowing it's Friday, end of the week, all of those things we mentioned in the video, it's a lot smarter to just take the obvious target. And in this scenario, it was definitely the wiser decision. But I think that's about it. Like I said, if there's any questions, anything you guys need help with, anything that didn't make sense, just leave it down below. Message on Telegram chat. And again, same thing for the mentorship. It is open. Anyone that wants to join, please just drop me a message. And that's it.